So diabetes, we have two types of diabetes. Type 1, type 2, we're going to talk about it now. Diabetes mellitus, it means a large volume of sweet urine. And how do people discover this disease? In the past, people noticed that some patient, they're very ill, but doctor doesn't know why. And then they notice that after they pee, if they didn't flush the toilet or something like that, then ants start to actually go to their pee, as if the pee they're sweet. And then I don't know if it's true or not. Some doctor they actually taste the urine and then find that it is sweet, and that's how people discover diabetes. And for your own future career, for the sake of your future career, I would tell you this one thing: when you address your patient, you do not call them diabetic patient. You call them patient with diabetes. Okay, so you address the person first. Same as other disease or illnesses, yeah, you address person first or patient first before you address their condition. So type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, also known as insulin dependent diabetes. Acronym is IDDM. And type 1, it is juvenile onset, or we can call juvenile onset type 1 diabetes. How do we define juvenile? We define juvenile as people who are younger than 20 years old. The causes, people found that type 1 diabetes is caused by, again, our autoimmune malfunction. Our immune system actually attacks the pancreatic beta cell. And the pancreatic beta cell, they are the one that secrete insulin. So remember, we talked about VMN at the beginning of this metabolic several video ago. We talked about VMN. It is the one of the hypothalamic nuclei that is responsible for feeding behavior. So So glucostate cells in VMN, they can cause people to eat a lot. And then alpha cell. Remember alpha cell, they are the pancreatic cell that secrete glucagon. So the location is in the pancreas. They will secrete glucagon. And both of these cells, they need insulin to absorb glucose. What's that mean? If you refer to the previous video when I talk about VMN and LHM, the other nucleus, LVM and LHN, yeah, LHN, VMN and LHN, lateral hypothalamic nuclei. You know that if we stimulate the VMN, the animal will eat. Or if we inhibit VMN, the animal will stop eating. If we inject glucose, into VMN, the animal will stop eating. If we inhibit the glucose transporter on the VMN, so that the VMN glucose transporter, meaning that it is a cell membrane protein that can bring the glucose from the blood into the cytoplasm of the VMN. And when we block the transporter on the cell membrane surface of VMN, so that they cannot do that, then animal will start to eat. In other words, in order to stop the animal from eating, we need to get the glucose from the blood to go into the cytoplasm of the VMN. So one way to do is to use insulin, because, well, we know that the 10 function of insulin, one of the function of insulin is to help the body cell to absorb glucose or transport the glucose from the blood to the cytoplasm of the cell. So VMN cell, the glucostat cells in VMN require glucose. We require insulin to do that. Similarly, the pancreatic alpha cell also require insulin to absorb glucose, so that the alpha cell can monitor the blood glucose level. If we do not have insulin, then what will happen? Alpha cell cannot absorb glucose. When alpha cell cannot absorb glucose, that means alpha cell does not know that, oh, our blood has already high blood glucose level because we just finished a meal. Then what will happen? Alpha cell will continue to secrete glucagon, because the alpha cell thinks that, oh, our body has a low blood glucose level because there's no glucose can go into the cytoplasm of alpha cell. Then alpha cell keep on secreting glucagon to increase the blood glucose level, hoping that, okay, I will absorb some glucose into my cytoplasm. But it never happened in the type 1 diabetes because there's no insulin. When there's no insulin, alpha cell keep on secreting glucagon to increase the blood glucose level. And the glucostat cells, similarly, they also require insulin to absorb glucose. When you don't have insulin, so that even though your blood has a lot of glucose, the VMN cell, the glucostat cell in the VMN cannot absorb it. when they cannot absorb the glucose, they think that you are having a low blood glucose level. So what will happen? It will tell you to eat a lot, even though you already have a high blood glucose level. Because of this, diabetic patient combining these two effects, when you do not have insulin, then the diabetic patient, yes, they will eat a lot. It's like they never feel that they are full. They never feel that they are full, and also the increase in glucagon, even though they have high blood glucose level, the increasing of glucagon will continue to increase the blood glucose level even more. What else will also increase the blood glucose level? For example, what else will increase the blood glucose level? Increase in the epinephrine, increase in growth hormone, increase in ACTH, increase in ACTH can increase cortisol. All this will causes all this can causes the increase in glucagon. What is the treatment for type 1 diabetes? Well, type 1 diabetes, as you know, that it has the patient with type 1 diabetes, they have very high blood glucose level. So what do you do with so much excess glucose in your body? Best way to do is to burn off them. How do you burn off them? Exercise. Second thing is to like most of the patients with diabetes do. Before the meal, they will inject insulin in order so that after they eat, during the absorptive state, they can convert they can increase the absorption of the glucose into the body cell. They can also convert glucose into glycogen so that it will help them to lower the blood glucose level. So they inject insulin and somatostatin. Why is it a cocktail with insulin and somatostatin? Because somatostatin can inhibit glucagon. So this is in an essence of type 1 diabetes. Next video we'll talk about type 2 diabetes.